If I had a nickel for every time Adam Scott started a project that involved a mysterious elevator, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird if it's happened twice though. Greetings my fancy friends, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about Hokum, directed by Damian McCarthy, which this is his 3rd horror film project, and I gotta say, this guy keeps getting better and better with every film that he makes. The film is about Owen Bonham, played by Adam Scott, and he's a famous writer that goes to a mysterious hotel in Ireland to spread his parents' ashes. But after a few twists and turns of events, one of the hotel's workers has gone missing, and it's up to Bonham to solve the case. But it turns out that this hotel might have some secrets lying within. So I was excited for this film for a multitude of reasons. The first one being is I adored the horror film Oddity. That is one of my favorite horror films from this decade. Damian McCarthy is such a visionary when it comes to making creepy horror films, and Oddity is one of the most disturbing horror films I have seen in a long time. That film shook me to my core. And I wasn't a huge fan of his first film, Caveat, but like I said, this director just gets better and better with every film that he makes. And similar to McCarthy's previous works, the atmosphere is off the charts phenomenal in this movie. Damian McCarthy loves to work with creepy environments in his films, and this one is his best looking film to date. His first film was a creepy cabin, his second film was a creepy mansion, and now we're in a creepy hotel. And I gotta say, the environments in this film is just chef's kiss beautiful. I am such a sucker for creepy environments in horror films, and this one just scratched that itch in my brain immensely. It reminded me so much of the Alan Wake 2 video game, this one particular level that involved a hotel. For those who have played the game know exactly what I'm talking about. The environment in this movie is just mwah! And I love the way this film is shot as well. A lot of horror movies really love to be shot in a very close-up manner to give you that claustrophobic feeling, but McCarthy, he loves to film his movies with a bunch of wide shots, which I feel like works so well for this kind of movie because you're in this really creepy hotel environment, and it's because the shots are so wide, you have all these different little pieces of the environment that you're looking at like, is that something hiding in the corner? Is that something there? Is that a ghost? Is that something mysterious over there? Or is that just a lamppost? There are so many cool moments in this movie that just elevate the creepiness because of how this film is shot. And the way how this film is shot really does make this hotel feel like it's its own living character. And as for the performances, I really enjoyed them in this film. I'm a huge fan of Adam Scott. I love pretty much almost everything that he's in. I love him in Severance, I love him in Parks and Rec, I love him in... Okay, I said I love him in almost everything, but here, he gives one of my favorite performances from him. He does a phenomenal job in this movie. And in this film, he plays this asshole narcissistic writer so well. Having this really high-pitched nasally voice and being bothered by the smallest inconveniences. And in the beginning of the film, you really don't like his character. He's an asshole to everybody, he hates being famous, he just wants to be left alone. But later in the film, you'll learn more about his troubled past that he had with his childhood, then you start to actually feel for his character and actually root for him. The movie really does gradually increase your enjoyment of this character, making him just this absolute asshole you want nothing to do with, and then by the end you're actually like, okay, I understand why you're kind of like this. But now we get to the story, which is the main thing that I'm really mixed on. The film starts off super interesting with this weird witch mythology that maybe haunts this hotel, then one of the employees goes missing. The movie really just ramp up this mystery of what happened to this employee, but once we get to the 3rd act, the film starts to just fizzle out its story. It's like the movie wanted to shift its focus to doing more weird atmosphere and the scares, than actually continuing and developing more of the story. Now don't get me wrong, the scares are great in this movie. Now, this isn't the scariest film I've ever seen in my life, but there are plenty of jump scare moments in this film that'll make you jump out of your seat. Damian McCarthy is honestly the modern king of jump scares. He gets them right in every single film that he creates, with one in particular in Oddity that I still think about to this day. Those who have seen that movie know exactly the jump scare I'm talking about. And in here, there are quite a few jump scares that actually made me hop out of my seat. They were that scary and well done. But that doesn't mean that every single scare in this film worked, with one in particular. Now don't worry, this isn't a spoiler or anything because it is in the trailer, but this film has this weird rabbit looking thing in the movie, and it's alluded that this rabbit is a character from a TV show that Bowman used to watch when he was younger, but there's kind of no point to this thing at all. Like, it's just kind of randomly placed into the film to give it this weird, mysterious, scary thing. And there's kind of just no point to it whatsoever. In fact, I see it more of a distraction than an actual addition to the movie. But back to the story, we get this reveal of what's lurking under the hotel, and it's interesting, but the movie never takes time to develop why this thing is here. And not in a way where the movie subtly gives you hints instead of giving you full answers, but instead in a way that just feels random. Now I will say, this director loves his Irish mythology. There was a lot of that in Oddity, and there's a lot of it here, and maybe I'm just not caught up on my Irish mythology. I must have skipped that class in high school. But I feel like there are a lot of missing pieces with this mysterious thing that's in the hotel, and I don't know, I would have liked a bit more of a clear explanation or a clear understanding of what's happening in this hotel, because at the end there's this huge shocking thing that happens and it's really cool, but I was more just like, why? Now obviously I don't like everything being answered in my movies. I like to be challenged whenever I watch something, but I would have liked maybe a bit more of a clear understanding of what this thing is. And we do get some emotional elements with Beaumont's character at the end as well, but unfortunately some of them just don't feel earned. Now throughout the film I was understanding more of his character and I was starting to really enjoy his character, but one thing at the very end of the movie just didn't really feel earned. It's this heavy emotional moment and I just felt like it was just randomly placed in there at the wrong time. I feel like the scene would have worked. It was maybe put in maybe somewhere maybe in the middle or maybe a little bit earlier before this one in particular moment, but it's still good, but I just want maybe a little bit more, especially because, like I said, the film does deviate from the story and goes more into just focusing on the scares and atmosphere. So as a whole, I really did enjoy my time with Hokum, even though I do have some gripes with the story. I love the environment, I like the characters, the scares are phenomenal in this film. I just would have liked maybe a little bit of a tighter third act because those first two acts are so great. But as a whole, I think this film is really solid and a great horror film for this year that I think a lot of people will enjoy. Which is why I'm gonna give Hokum the gold top hat. To all my fancy friends, thank you so much for watching, but it's first time here and you like what you've seen, be sure to subscribe for more content. And have you seen Hokum? What did you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you have a fantastic night, and as always, stay fancy.